so many. Okay, so this is what I tweeted earlier today. I said the two key 49ers in Super Bowl 58 will be Nick Bosa and Javon Kinlaw. I said Bosa should absolutely own Jawan Taylor, who led the NFL this year with 20 penalties. And to put that in perspective, that's 7 more penalties than any other player in the league had. So, like, second most penalties was 13. This guy had 20, Jawan Taylor. So I think Bosa should dominate Jawan Taylor. I think whoever's at the other end spot's probably going to have a good job to dominate Donovan Smith. Mm-hmm. And then I said Kinlaw is the Niners' defensive tackle who has the best chance to occupy Kansas City's interior O-line. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a little bit of football esoteric. So if I lose people, I apologize. But what we see with the Chiefs is the interior of their offensive line, kind of like what we saw in this last game with the Lions, the interior of their offensive line, and also with Green Bay. They climbed to that second level. They picked off Greenlaw and Warner, and what it turned out to be was Logan Ryan and Tayshaun Gibson trying to stop Aaron Jones, or the Niners secondary trying to stop David Montgomery. Montgomery went from 7 yards a carry, and I thought the biggest gift of the NFC title game was that they only ran Montgomery 15 times. He had 33 carries earlier this year. You're in Chicago. You've seen the Bears have many games where they ran him 25 times. So they only ran him 15 times. I thought that was a huge break. But the Niners in this matchup against Pacheco need to have their linebackers, the Greenlaws and the Warners have to be able to run free and hit. They're going to try to run Pacheco. We know they're going to run him inside from time to time because they got the great interior 3. But at times, I think they're also going to do what Detroit did and what Green Bay did, was run to the edges and cut back. Because if their linemen can pick off a Greenlaw, pick off a Warner, and all you got to do is beat the Gibson or Ryan, or in this case Jair Brown, Isaiah Pacheco could have some cutback runs that go to the house. I mean, this guy's got 4.3 speed.
Fair though, he doesn't press the edge the same way a Jahmyr Gibbs or an Aaron Jones do, right? Like, those guys are stylistically built for that Shanahan style where they are very patient. They push the edge, and then find the cutback. Pacheco is more put his foot in the ground and just go. And he goes with speed and violence and power, but it's not that he isn't patient. It's just a different style of running from those guys.
I just think that they're going to look at the Niner film and see that there's so much space on the outside the tackle box that they may try to just kind of make the Niners blow up by running effectively inside and then running effectively outside, and then just basically turn this into a big Isaiah Pacheco game. So to me, Kinlaw is that guy, more so than Givens, much more so than Sebastian Joseph Day. He's the one D tackle they have.
More than Armstead, even, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy. And by the way, when the game was over against Detroit, Armstead and Kinlaw had an extensive. I mean, I guys talk all the time in the locker room, but I mean, we didn't get into the locker room for a long time. These guys were still in uniform at Kinlaw's locker, having a long dialogue.
That's awesome.
I mean, seriously, I mean, they were talking for a half hour. You mentioned Jordan Elliott. I want first of all, I haven't had Jordan on in a while.
Jordan, right? Yeah. Well, he's too busy these days, man. He's got a different gig. He's busy.
I know. I'm going to share the screen here. This is Jordan Elliott, and he tweets out the first pick the 49ers made after losing the Super Bowl last time to Miami was Javon Kinlaw. Nearly 4 years later, Kinlaw's performance in the NFC title game is a major reason why the 49ers are back in the Super Bowl. He said, here's a thread of some significant plays that Kinlaw made versus the Lions. I just want to kind of go through these 4 plays. This is the first one. Mm-hmm. He's like, Kinlaw generates pressure with his bull rush that moves Jared Goff off of his spot, which leads to a narrow miss on a ball intended for Jahmyr Gibbs in the end zone. Detroit ends up kicking a field goal on the drive, keeping the Niners' halftime deficit at 17 instead of 21. All right, I'm going to blow this up so we can see this again. Here it is. There's Kinlaw right here going up against Awasika. and he bull rushes him, and he made Goff move a little bit and made that a little bit more of a
With some
difficult
good help
throw.
from Bosa, right? Because he feels Penei Sewell near him too, for sure.
Right, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
And arm was that Gregory there also? Was that
I
Gregory
think
in his
so. I
face?
think that's who I
It
saw as
looks
well.
yeah, it's
That's
Gregory.
Gregory. Yeah.
It's Gregory. So Bosa definitely pushed him because he could see that. He could feel it. But also Kinlaw kind of
Right.
made him adjust the window by the
Right.
bull rush on
He didn't
Awasika.
let him step up.
I mean, look at he's coming there in the kind of the
Right.
face. So it's not necessarily he didn't make the play. Now this is like what Javon does a lot. He doesn't necessarily make the play, but he's so damn strong that you can't really handle him.
And he's playing with so much effort, right, Krug?
Right.
That's the
Look
other
at
thing.
that. Look at the feet. He just keeps those feet moving. Keeps them moving. And then so he helped
It'll
make
be
that
fun
play.
to see him do that to Trey Smith, right? Because that's a mammoth man.
Okay, that's the first one. Here's the second one. This is 7:03 in the third quarter. Detroit's up 24-10. 3rd and 4 at the Niner 30. Kinlaw sheds his block, wraps up short of the sticks of Amon-Ra St. Brown, which set up a 4th and 2 that would change the entire trajectory of this game. Sometimes the most important plays come right before the ones that we remember most. So I'm going to build this one up again. I'll roll this back to the beginning. And now look at Kinlaw. Kinlaw's right there in the box. You see him. Okay, here we go. Okay, here it comes. Snap. And he makes the tackle right there. He can't. Now, that's something that Kinlaw hasn't done tons of, right? He hasn't come off of blocks to make plays. He sometimes stays blocked. But in the second half of the year, he's been much better at disengaging and throwing away his guy and making the play, and he did right there. So that's a strong man right there making a nice play where he's blocked. He's blocked.
Right.
And I think the guard probably feels like, hey, you know what? I've got this. But then all of a sudden he just kind of throws him away, jumps inside, makes the tackle.
Right.
Okay, so that's number 2 on this list. Now there's
kind of lined up as a 4-eye, right?
Yeah, here's the number
play.
3. This is third quarter, 6:58 to play, 24-10 Lions, 4th and 2. This is maybe the play of the game. 4th and 2 at the Niner 28. Bosa comes off the edge. Kinlaw's rush, though, is powerful. It leaves Goff nowhere to step up in the pocket.
Can you hit the full screen on it again, Krug?
Yeah, forcing him to move to his right before throwing to his left. And this could have been the turning point overall. Let's roll this thing back. Okay, here we go.
Nice. We get
Kinlaw's right there in the box.
Right. Lined up at 3 technique this
now
time.
He's bull rushing this guy, and he bull rushed him right into Goff. Goff had to move his feet and throw, and then he threw to Reynolds, and it was just the movement of Goff here, I think, makes this a much more difficult catch for Reynolds. Ambry had good coverage here, though. I mean, this is also good coverage. But now we're going to watch it from the end zone wide. So that he's right there in his face, and Bosa's jumped him, and he throws a little bit off to Reynolds, and it's incomplete. And that was the equivalent of a turnover because that was 4th and 2.
I think that there's also another great example to this play of what the Niners defense is missing, right? Like, you and Jordan are doing an amazing job highlighting Kinlaw, and I agree, right? Like, this is a really, really nice rush from him. It looks like he's lining up just inside of the guard there. And so it's a really nice rush. Right. It's a really nice rush from him. But what I also think this shows, Krug, is look at how each one of these plays affected the quarterback, right? And there's been so much complaints about the Niners pass rush, them not getting home. And I've noticed that a lot of that criticism immediately falls on Bosa. And it's natural, right? He was the guy that got paid this offseason. He's the supremely gifted player. He's the superstar. You would expect him to produce. But what's the common denominator in every one of these plays where Kinlaw is getting pressure? Bosa's also there. And to me, Kinlaw getting pressure and it affecting the quarterback so much is just such a good example of how another guy getting home with Bosa changes the elements of the play. And right now, part of the Niners' issue is Bosa's the only one really getting home. So it doesn't feel like the quarterback is getting pressure because there's only one guy getting home. They can evade that one guy and find other spaces in the pocket to settle and find opportunities to throw. But when the second guy comes home, it completely collapses the pocket in each one of these cases, right? We've seen Jared Goff get rattled. We've seen Jared Goff throw an inaccurate pass. We've seen Jared Goff's feet, be a little bit impatient, a little less quiet, right? We've seen all of those things in each one of these examples. And so I think that that's probably the further point to me. Yes, Kinlaw is playing very well, but the Niners need more of these kinds of examples like Kinlaw with another guy getting home with Bosa.
And it's interesting too. They on that play, if you watch this over and over again, they put Laporta in motion. He could have chipped on Bosa. They put him in motion on the other side of the formation. He chips on Chase Young.
With Penei
And
Sewell
did
on
Gibbs,
him, right?
Yeah, and did Gibbs miss the chip here?
I'm not sure. He doesn't seem to look. He seems to release as if he's not chipping.
Right.
I'd assume they probably want to chip Bosa, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think, but they had two opportunities there, and they stopped doing that. Okay, so that's number 3.
Can you go back to the pre-snap look?
Sure.
I just want to see something real quick.
Pause it.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to see if they had walked up anybody to the line of scrimmage, because it's interesting that the center goes right in this case. Well, I guess then maybe they were thinking that the back would chip.
I mean, I'll say this for Goff too. He put that right where he wanted to put it. I mean, you can't really throw the ball better than this, considering you had to move.
Yeah, Reynolds got to make this catch.
Yeah, Reynolds got to make that catch.
I thought Ambry knocked this out, by the way, originally. I was going to bring this up in his favor at one point.
And this is the fourth one, the final one on Kinlaw. 1:05 to go, fourth quarter. Niners now up 10. It's 3rd and goal from the 1.
Nice. This is Logan Ryan, too.
Detroit had to score here after choosing to run the ball. They get stopped short. It forces you to burn a timeout, leaving a successful onside kick as the only beacon of hope. Kinlaw comes from the backside and slams the door shut. So here it is.
Watch Logan Ryan. Watch him shoot.
Great strength there. Great strength in pursuit.
Wait. Watch Logan Ryan, though. Top of the screen. Watch him beat the crack from Jameson Williams, and he makes the play.
Yeah.
Originally.
He read it. He read that. Look at that.
Right.
And he came. And
it's a really good play by the nickel. That's Logan Ryan. So this would be the reason why, right? I feel like, okay, maybe they can give him a chance in the run game, because this is a high-level play in the run game. This is a play Lenore would make. This is a play Oliver wouldn't.
That's what Logan Ryan can do right there. He can be in the right place. As I said, you brought this up a couple minutes ago. I said, well, maybe he could spill something. Well, that's kind of what he's doing here. He's not really making the tackle. In fact, he kind of whiffed. But just reading it ahead of time, getting the penetration into the backfield, spilling it to the rest of the defense.
He beats the block because they're looking.
He beats the block. He runs around the block. Yeah, it looked like he beat. Is that Jameson Williams?
Yeah,
was trying to crack on him.
Right,
and Jameson Williams missed, and it made the running back move just a little bit, and then Warner's there, but Kinlaw beat. Look at the strength of Kinlaw, though.
Right.
I mean, he just pushes back. Who is that?
I like Kinlaw, man. I think this is a very generous play to give him, though. That's Decker.
Yeah,
that he just shoves back.
Decker.
Yeah, this is a Logan Ryan play.
But more than anything, it's just it shows the want to.
Right. It just shows Kinlaw is competing, right?
Yeah, the competition. Yep, that's it right there. Great stuff, by the way. I'm a big fan of Jordan Elliott. He's a great follow. You guys all should follow him. He works for NBC Sports Bay Area.
Just there.
Did I? Yeah, I know.
Right.
It's at @splash_cousin, and he does a great job. He really does. So back to our extravaganza here. I good stuff. I mean, good stuff from Jordan Elliott, but also kind of I do agree with him that Kinlaw in last year, man. I mean, the way last year ended, where Kelsey was moving him and he wasn't standing up and he was getting pushed around, and I thought, man, his Niner career is coming to an end. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option. He's probably going to walk away in free agency at the end of the year. Maybe not, because he's really tight with Armstead, and Armstead's going to be here as long as he doesn't retire. But Kinlaw's done some good things, and
he's found a role in the NFL, right? He's found a role.
You don't need to sack the quarterback. You don't have to sack at his position. You don't have to sack the quarterback to have a dramatic impact on the game.
Right. And he's a rotational piece, right? Like Krug, I think that there was a point given the injuries that went on. Now, I I've always thought he's an exceedingly talented player. So when I've had the opportunity to say things about him, I've always been positive about his career trajectory because I still remember the guy that made Lloyd Cushenberry look funny in the Senior Bowl. He was there for one
The
day, and
LSU
I saw
center
those
was at Denver.
one-on-ones. Right. I saw those one-on-ones. He made Lloyd Cushenberry look funny. Like he walked in, he was the best player at the Senior Bowl for a day. I like watching Senior Bowl practice. I'm going to watch it now when we get off this show.
I am too. I taped
Yeah,
it.
right. It's interesting to me. And he looked like Krug. You know those guys when they have those days of practice in the Senior Bowl. That was one of those days in Javon Kinlaw's first day before his knee. So I believe in the talent of the player. But given all his injuries, there was a point coming into this year, Krug, where we didn't know if he had established a role for himself in the NFL. Like, who is Javon Kinlaw? At this point, he was just a talented prospect who people liked because of his physical gifts, who we had no clue what his knee injuries were going to lead to. And he hadn't really produced on the field much outside of the end of his rookie season, which was promising, and then followed by 2 knee surgeries. And all you can say at the end of this year is, regardless of what happens, Javon Kinlaw has a home. He knows what he is. He is a rotational defensive piece on any defensive line in the NFL. And that's an important thing. He's found his role, he's found his spot. His size is impactful, his effort is impactful. He competes with strength. It's cool to see.
Yeah, and you know, I've talked to him a number of times this year. I really like him. Thursday, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to talk to him because, man, that you know, that film was good. That's a good film for him for sure.